Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Eruvin Perek Mishnah Dalet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss how to measure the 2,000 Amot. So when you're measuring it, we'll see that you're supposed to use a rope, right? This rope is going to be 50 Amot long, and two people are going to carry it, and they're going to measure it, from one spot to the next, right? From person A to person B, and they're going to keep on moving. It's going to be 50 amma rope. So until you get to 2,000 amma, it's going to be 20 times that you're going to have to carry this rope. And that's how you get to the measurement of 2,000 amma. And then you measure, you mark it at the end of the city. Oh, here's the boundary of this is how far we could walk outside the city. So, you're only allowed to use a rope. Now, this rope has to be from flax, from pishtan, and it's 50 amot long, right? Not more, not less. We know that, when you're measuring, especially with the rope, it's not going to be exactly precise. So some people may want to add a little more, take off. No, it has to be exactly 50 amot. Also, it can't be made out of a chain because that would, droop too much, right? So it has to be something like pull tight, and that's made from flax, right? Like a linen-y flax type of rope. Lo pachot v'lo yater, not more, not less, right? Than 50 amot. Lo yamod ela keneged libo, right? You should only go ahead and measure it keneged libo, right? Where do you hold this rope, right? So you and I are both holding the rope from both ends, right? We have to hold it near our heart, right? So one person holds it here near his heart, the other person also does, and it stretches, it pulls, and that way everyone's holding it at the same level. This is interesting. If you're measuring and you get to a valley, right, or you get to a gader, a fence. So what do? Mavli'o Mavli'o means to swallow it, meaning you don't measure the slope going down into the valley, right? Similarly, for the fence, right? You're not going to go up and down and over the fence. Rather, you take just the surface level of what it is. So if you see this picture over here, you get to a little ditch, a little valley. So you have 50 amot, you hold it on both sides, right? Obviously, we're talking about if you could go ahead and stand from both sides, and 50 amot reaches both sides of that valley, or if you're going, over a little hill, right? So again, you hold it with poles, and you go right over that hill. The option is to either go around it, right? So you take a 50 amot rope, you go, eastward, you measure across a smaller area, and then you come back westward to where you were before. Right, so you have options over here. So that's what he does. Right, similarly, if he comes to the mountain, again, we're talking, again, you use that space, you don't take the slope. Now, what are we talking about? When do you take the slope and when do you not take it? So we're saying that you could be mavdi'ah, you don't have to go ahead and count for the slope, for that plane going up, ascending the mountain, when specifically, right, when it's going up 5 amot, right, the slope is going up 5 amot, and as you're walking up that, those 5 amot, it went up 10 tfachim high, right? So if you can do a triangle, right, if you're drawing a triangle, so going up is 10 tfachim high, whereas the hypotenuse, right, the angle ends up being 5 amot, which is 30 tfachim, right? So you're ascending on a ramp 30 tfachim, where you ended up 10 tfachim high above the ground. That's when you could be mavdi'o. That's when you swallow that space, right? We don't go ahead and measure that ramp level. Rather, we just take the ground, level of what it would have been if it was a straight, flat surface. If it's less than that, right? If it's a less of a slope than that, right? Let's say it went 6 tfachim, it took to get up 10, to 6 amot in order to get up to 10 tfachim, right? That's already too narrow, too short, too low of a slope, where we're going to say, okay, then you have to measure exactly the plane that you're walking up, right? That's not considered a hilltop for all intents and purposes. Okay, now the Mishnah continues, right? As long as you don't, literally yotzi means to take out, but over here, Rambam explains it as yetzeh, meaning the person shouldn't leave the Tchum. Why shouldn't he leave the Tchum? He's doing this before Shabbat. He's measuring the Tchum Shabbat beforehand. Why can't he leave the Tchum? Because we worry that someone may see him while he's measuring the Tchum. Actually, he's measuring on a Friday. Someone comes and he leaves it. He's trying to measure his last measurement, he goes ahead and he leaves the tchum in order to get around the mountain to know exactly where it ends. And he ends up leaving that 2,000 amot. Someone sees him and goes, I remember this person who took care of the tchum Shabbat. I saw him measuring over here. And he was really outside the tchum. So that's why he's not allowed to leave the tchum while he is measuring. Im eno yachol lehavdi'o, right? Let's say he cannot. He can't go ahead and be mavdi at the mountain. It's too big, right? Or the valley is too wide. It's more than 50 amot. Again, the rope's only 50 amot long. So bazu amar Rabbi Dostai b'Rabbi Anai mishum Rabbi Meir shamati shemekaderim b'harim. I heard that you could literally mekader means estimate, right? Estimate, approximate, right? Koder lashon is lashon kotea, right? Mekaderim kotina temedida, right? You literally cut the measurement. And how do you do this, right? So you're going to estimate when you go up and down the mountain. How do you do this? So if you see this picture over here, you have a person who's standing. They take a rope that's 4 amot long. One person stands lower on the mountain, and he holds it by his chest, by his heart. The next person holds it by his feet. And that way, they're not measuring, right? They're not taking into account the entire slope angle, going up the mountain. Right? We're not taking that whole slope going up the mountain. Rather, right, we're just taking the plateau, those levels, right, to almost create this like stair-like thing, stair-like a scenario, and that's what they go ahead and measure, right? And that's why Rabbi Dostai says you can do it, right? If you can't go all the way around the mountain, this is an option of using this 4 amot rope. And halacha is like him. Halacha is like Rabbi Dostai that this is an option. You can see in a couple other pictures over here. You see how they take 50 amot and they're going above. Either the if you have a fence or if you have a ditch, right? Go ahead and do that. And here's the picture of going up. You see if it goes up 10 tefachim, when there's a 5 amot angle, that works. But let's say it's less than that. Let's say it's if it's right, that works. 5 amot, 10 tefachim, that works. If it's 6 amot, right, over 10 tefachim, at that point you already have to measure, right, the actual slope itself, as we clarified in this Mishnah.